Hello. How's everyone doing? Welcome back to another episode of Table for Us. Before we get started in today's episode, as always, I like to give all honor and glory to God because without Him, nothing that I do would be possible. Okay. Also, a quick shout out to Podbean, which is the platform that hosts my podcast. If you are interested in starting your own podcast, be sure to read the caption below on how you can get started with Podbean. All right. So, our topic for today that we're going to get into, and it might sting a few people, is stop flexing, start fixing, living beyond your means. So, in other words, keeping up with the Joneses, trying to basically live a champagne lifestyle on a tap water budget. That's pretty much where we're going to be getting in today. So, one of the things that I noticed a lot in the Black community, specifically in the Black community, I would say people of color, but it's mainly my people, that we live above our means. And basically, what that means is you are, and there's nothing wrong with liking nice things or wanting nice things or having nice things. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, there was a recent Instagram post that I saw, and it was, I don't remember what his name was, but he basically was saying how he'd rather have a $5 bag that has $1,000 in it than a $1,000 bag with $100 in it. And what I took away from that was basically, and I'll say will, because we will, as people, as part of the community, we will go out and spend money on bags, shoes, clothes, all of the name brand or luxury name brand items that has that name of the brand plastered on whatever it is that we done purchase, right? But our actual bank account might not reflect that purchase. And again, there is nothing wrong with having nice things or wanting nice things, but you have to be smart and strategic in these things that you're purchasing. If you want to treat yourself because it's your birthday, so you bought something, okay, cool. But if you don't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw out of it, I don't think you should be buying those things. If you live on subsidized housing and you're driving a Tesla or a Mercedes or a BMW, I think you should probably reevaluate your choices, right? I feel like people don't prioritize the things that are important, right? Instead, they want to look like they have something when they don't have it. And this is not all people of color. This is some, right? Or a good handful. Or let's just talk about my own life experience. I'm not going to talk about anybody else. Everything that I talk about on this podcast is going to be about things that I've actually experienced, things that I've gone through, things that someone close to me have gone through. So I'm always going to be talking about from an actual event that's transpired. So I used to live in what used to be the projects, but they tore those projects down. It's where I grew up at, and then they built these townhomes, really nice townhomes. And in the city of San Francisco, there is a requirement, and I believe Mayor Willie Brown implemented this requirement a long time ago when he was the mayor of San Francisco, that when new developments arise, that they had to allocate so many of those units to subsidized housing, below market rate rent, and I believe Section 8. So the difference between all of those, right? Section 8, of course, you go through the state program and they give you a voucher letting you know what type of housing you can get, whether it's a 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, so on and so forth. And then based on your income, they will pay a portion of your rent, if not all of it. Subsidized housing in Section 8 kind of works the same as subsidized housing, so to speak. So let's say you lose your job or you lose your income, whatever the case may be. They will adjust the portion that you pay, right? Section 8 will still pay their portion, but if you're on subsidized housing, you don't have a Section 8 voucher, which means that if you move somewhere, you have to go by whatever their rules is. Whereas Section 8 voucher, you can take that voucher and you can relocate somewhere else and still have that voucher. So that's pretty much the main difference between subsidized housing versus a Section 8. So subsidized housing is just on that particular development that you live in. They are basing your rent according to your income, 30% of your income. And if you, for some reason, and it happens, I was laid off 2 years ago, but for some reason that you lose your source of income, they will adjust your rent. And sometimes that can be down to $25 or zero for that time that, you're living there. It's based off of your income. It's subsidized housing, usually 30% of your income. there's tax credit unions, and then there's also below market rate. So the tax credit unions basically units, and I could be saying this wrong because I don't really understand the fullness behind the difference between a tax credit unit and the below market rate, but I had a below market rate unit is what I had. So no matter what my income was, the rent was set at a certain amount that was below the market rate in that area. Okay. So if my income increased or decreased, I still had to pay that rent. So for my townhouse that I had at the time, I was paying, I want to say it was $1,750, and it was a 4 bedroom. It was a 4 bedroom. So while living there, again, although they had people paying market rate, whatever the market rate rent could be $3,000 or so, there was different people within the community that paid different stuff depending on what unit they were in. And for me, with my below market rate unit or tax credit unit, I don't know, I got to look into this. And that'll be another episode when I get into renting versus owning your home. So anyway, it to me was still the projects. And the reason being was because I grew up in this actual piece of land that used to be projects. And you had a lot of people in there driving really nice cars. I was one of them. I had a Mercedes, a M320. It was the little SUV one back in the day. And in all honesty, it was just something that I really wanted. But looking back, now I didn't need to have that. What was more important was making sure that my rent was paid for the time that I was there, not to get comfortable living there, and using that money that I spent on that Mercedes to fund buying a home or invest in something else. So when I say that people purchase things that they don't need to be purchasing, that's what I basically mean. It's okay. Your living situation is temporary, right? So having a below market rate or having subsidized housing or having Section 8 is supposed to be a temporary situation to help people to be able to afford to live in certain areas. It's not supposed to be a lifetime thing for all people. Now, there's some people where it's just like if you have a disability or you're older, elderly, or so forth, then your income is what it is. It's fixed. So you have to stay in places where it helps you to be able to maintain your housing. But with other people, if you're out here buying Mercedes and BMWs and Gucci and Louis Vuitton and I don't know, Givenchy and all this stuff, but you're living in the projects, you're living above your means, right? And you're not prioritizing your finances. Okay. You're wasting your money on stuff that's not going to be valuable, in other words. And so after having that Mercedes, I forget what my next vehicle was that I got after that, but it was not a luxury vehicle. It was just something that can get me from point A to point B. Because not only was, and I don't remember what my car payment was, but not only do you have to pay that car payment on those luxury vehicles, you also have to pay the maintenance on them, right? So I think a lot of us, as people of color, we don't think about that. It's just we want to have the nice car and we want people to see us driving a nice car. But can we afford that car? Can we afford the maintenance on that car? Can we afford the registration on it? Because depending on what type of car you have, you're going to pay a higher registration. And honestly, that was a conversation I had, I believe, with my cousin. We were talking about that, and she has a Toyota. And Toyotas, as you guys know, Toyotas and Hondas will run until the wheels fall off. Those are like the best cars to get to last you. But even Toyota is getting a little expensive. So Toyota makes Lexuses, right? And honestly, when you get a Lexus, or if you were to rent one or you sit in one, there's a lot of similarities because they're made by the same people. But with the Lexuses, they will use an upgraded version of leather, right? Or more premium product parts, or when it comes to like your stereo equipment and things of that sort. But after having that conversation with her, my thing was, let me get something that's actually going to last me, that's not going to break down, right? That I'm not worried about, oh, I have the luxury car. It's just, okay, it don't look all beat up. And even if it did look beat up, do it still get me to point A and point B? How's the gas mileage on this thing? So after having that conversation with her, I was just like, okay, let me check myself and stop trying to look like I'm the Joneses and be the Johnsons. Because, hey, so honestly, I believe my next vehicle after that was probably, I think, a Ford. It was a Ford Escape is what it was. It was it was cute too. It didn't have that many miles on it. And it got me to where I needed to get, point A and point B. It was good on gas. That was the biggest thing for me, because if you're commuting and so forth, you want something that's going to be efficient when it comes to gas. So that was like, after that, I'm not spending money on anything. My goal and my focus at that point was, first, let me get my children in a better neighborhood because that neighborhood wasn't the greatest. And let me stop being comfortable because it's convenient. It was in the area where I needed to get to work, close to where I needed to get to work. So I moved my children out to the suburbs. And of course, at this point, I'm paying more rent because I'm not buying, I'm not purchasing, I'm renting. So we moved from basically renting a townhome slash apartment or whatever and moved to renting a home. And I will admit I got comfortable with that, right? And even still with that, it was just like, okay, we're going to keep our purchases at the bare minimum. My children look nice. They had the things that they need. And every now and then, if it was a birthday, Christmas or whatever, I would go ahead and be like, what do you want? And if they said some Jordans or something, okay, cool. But I'm not buying that on a regular basis because I just couldn't see myself investing in those type of things when they weren't going to hold any value later on. Now, fast forward when I bought my house, right? So now it's like I have an asset. I've accomplished something that I've always wanted to accomplish. I felt, oh, okay, now if I wanted to buy myself a Louis Vuitton bag or a Gucci bag or something like that, I didn't feel guilty, I guess you can say, or feel like I'm living above my means because my housing situation is on point. I'm not living on subsidized housing and buying all this stuff. So I felt, okay, let me go ahead and treat myself and buy myself a nice bag. I think it was my birthday or Christmas or something. So I bought myself I think it was a Louis Vuitton bag. And this is just my own preferences, right? I bought one bag, right? I literally own one Louis Vuitton bag, one Gucci bag, and one YSL bag. Or I think I got two of those. And that's it. And they're different colors, of course. And to me, it was just, okay, I want to treat myself and be able to have options if I go out or something that I can switch it up. But I didn't feel the need that I needed 5 or 6 Louis Vuitton bags or 5 or 6 Gucci bags or 5 or 6 YSL bags or whatever, Givenchy, Birkin, whatever. I didn't feel like I needed all that because I'm like, there's other things that I'm trying to purchase and invest in. So I feel like it's okay to, again, treat yourself here and there to different things that you may like, whatever that may be. Some people like to invest in gym equipment. Some people like to invest in their vehicle, like doing alterations and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that. But don't go broke trying to do these things because you're trying to appear like you have it when you don't. Okay. You have to prioritize the main thing is your living situation, like what's going on with your living situation. Because I honestly don't feel like, and this, not to judge, but I don't feel like you should be having some luxury vehicle or name brand from head to toe and you live on subsidized housing. So then that means you can actually afford to pay regular rent or buy a house. You don't have to buy a house, but you can afford to pay regular rent and leave that subsidy to somebody who actually really needs it. Okay. Or let's just say you're living with someone. It's not even your place. Or they have Section 8. You're not on the voucher. But you rolling around and this and that and all that stuff and you acting like you have it when you don't. But you don't actually, again, have a pot to piss in or a window to throw out of it. You got to think about those type of things. So with that said, I just feel like as people of color, we tend to put on a show, even with traveling and so forth. I just feel like the biggest thing that should be on the forefront of your mind after, your God and your personal relationship with God is your living situation. If your living situation is not what it should be, you shouldn't be traveling all over the place. You shouldn't be partying every weekend. You shouldn't be buying all this other stuff. Like, get your living situation together first. And it doesn't matter if that living situation is an apartment. It's as long as it's yours and you're paying regular rent, right? Just don't be living above your means and out there partying and doing all this stuff when you don't have the means to be able to do that. Live within your means. Purchase things that are necessity and not so much of a want. One thing that I always try to tell my children is teaching them basically the difference between a need and a want. What are the things that we need? What are the things that you want? And if putting them into those buckets, right? And if you have a bunch of wants, right? But you haven't taken care of the needs, we need to take care of the needs first. The wants are going to come last. Once we basically grasp that concept of, okay, a need versus a want, then you can treat yourself to different things later on. You can save up for it. Don't spend your entire paycheck trying to buy things that you can't afford either. Although they have different means that you can do, like Klarna, what's the other one? Afterpay, Affirm. Those things are cool, but don't overextend yourself and put yourself into a financial bind trying to buy things that you don't need to have, right? And again, well, I'm gonna go back to that. It's nothing wrong with treating yourself, okay? Because I feel like we work so hard. You deserve to have something nice, but don't overdo it with buying all of the nice stuff until all of your other things are taken care of. A decent place to live that you're actually paying rent for, regular rent. You have a decent vehicle that gets you to point A to point B, right? You have food in your house. That's like the next biggest expense that we are paying right now is groceries. I feel like every time I go in the grocery store, the prices of things have gone up. I remember when I would buy the 24 pack of waffles and they were like $2.50. And I want to say this was maybe 2 years ago, right? They were $2.50. And now for that same product, nothing's changed. Excuse me, that same product, it's almost $9. So every time I go in the grocery store, the prices of stuff has gone up. So you got housing, you have groceries, you have a vehicle. Outside of that, if you have additional money, then invest that money into something. Still, don't go shopping because those things that you're buying, they don't hold no value. They look nice, but they don't hold no value. So if it's not something that can make you some money, don't buy it. That was something my mentor told me. When I'm trying to purchase things, he basically was like, ask yourself this question. Is this going to make me some money? Is this going to hold some type of value? Am I going to be able to get a return on my investment? And if I couldn't answer yes to, is it going to hold value? If it's going to be worth something later, is it going to make me money? Then he said, 9 times out of 10, you don't need to buy it right now. Focus on the things that are going to bring you some money back, that is going to hold some value. So for instance, as an example, hold value. I have, you can't see them, but I have 3 pieces of artwork that I purchased about 20 years ago. And the reason I bought those, one, I like them, they look nice. But the other thing was art is a collectible. So for God forbid that artist stops drawing, painting or whatever, or they pass away, the value on their art will increase if they're a known artist. So those were an investment for me when I bought those. So they look nice in my house, but they were actually an investment. Another thing is something that's going to make you money. Let's just say you buy a car, but you're going to put it on Turo. You're going to do private rental. So that's something, yeah, go ahead and buy that because it's making you money. It's not something just for you to roll around in and look nice. It's actually making you some money. So that's a good thing to purchase. I would say with clothes, unless it's you're renting these clothes out or it's photo shoot or something, and these are props that you can use to rent out to other individuals to use for photo shoots, I honestly don't really see a reason to invest in a whole bunch of name brand clothes other than you just want to look nice and then that's that. And especially when it comes to your children. Let's talk about that. Because I see people that will put their children in Gucci, Louis, and all that stuff. And you're not no celebrity. You a regular person. Not like that, but you're a regular person. And they're going to grow out of that. And you done spent this money on these Gucci shoes and they wore them 1 or 2 times to look nice at, I don't even know where they was going. It could have been a birthday or it could have been, I don't know what it could have been. But now let me be specific. It is no problem. There is no problem with wanting nice things or whatever. It's a special occasion. But I feel like having multiple Gucci shoes, Louis Vuitton jackets and all that stuff for a child that is going to grow out of it, I feel like it's a waste of money. And I feel like you're trying to live above your means. But if you have it, by all means, go ahead. You still wasting money, but by all means, if you can afford it and your living situation is good, you got a good running car, y'all got food in your house, and this is what you want to buy your child, by all means, go ahead and do that. Me personally, I just feel like it's a waste of money. Now, have my children ever had nice things? As I stated before, they've had the Jordans, the latest Jordans and stuff like that. Gucci, Louis and all that stuff. No, not for my children. Now, as an adult, once you're an adult and I'm buying you something for your birthday as a gift, yeah, because I feel like you're done growing. You're going to have it for a little bit. You're going to be able to wear it more than once or twice. So at that point, yeah. But when they're little, I just don't feel like they need to have a closet full of name brand stuff that they're going to go out of. And the other thing that, and this was my observation from looking at someone that I knew, social media. Social media will have you thinking if you're not on every island every other month, or you're not wearing this or that, or you're not driving X, Y, and Z, then you poor or something. I don't know. That's just like the stigmatism that is out there. Like you have to have all this stuff to seem like you in the in crowd or you got it like that. And those people who have that in their own social media, 9 out of 10, they're like somebody who really don't have too much money. Because when I look at the people who actually have money, they're not wasting their money on Louis Vuitton and Gucci. They're not driving Ferraris and BMWs and stuff like that. Some of them got Toyotas or Lexuses. Actually, the rich people who really got money, they driving a Lexus, and it's a Lexus RX or something. It's not like some high end. They're not driving that. That's us that feel like we need to be in the top of the top and Rolls Royces and Bentleys and stuff like that, Jaguars and all that. And it's like, why? I've never understood why we feel like we need to purchase those things to drive, because they're very expensive to maintain. So unless you're renting it, which I don't see a problem with that, you can rent it, lease it, whatever. Actually, when I go different places, I like to rent nice stuff because I'm like, I'm not gonna buy it. So I will go and rent a Mercedes or what was the other one? I rented this hybrid Lexus truck, and it was so nice. So what I've been trying to do is figure out now, the vehicle I have is, I love my vehicle, but what I was trying to figure out is what I wanted to purchase, like what was going to be the best as far as efficiency when it came to gas. And I was like, do I want to get an all electric vehicle? Do I want to get a hybrid? Do I want to stick with a gas vehicle? I couldn't make a decision. So when I would go travel to different places, I would use Turo and rent the type of vehicle that I'm like, oh, it's almost like a test drive, right? But you just keep it for the weekend, see what it's like or whatnot. And out of all the full electric and hybrid vehicles that I have rented, this Lexus RX, I can't remember if it was what the numbers were for it, but it was the smallest of the Lexus SUVs. And I had it for an entire weekend. And let me tell y'all, it was a hybrid. I put maybe $5 of gas in it right before I was about to return it. That's how much gas it used because it was a hybrid. It ran smooth. It was very comfortable. And I was just like, okay, if I think I'm gonna go with hybrid because I also rented an Audi. Was it an Audi Q? No, an Audi e-tron, the full electric vehicle. And it was nice. On the inside, had the little, when you open up the door, had the little lights and all that stuff. I forget what the price ticket was on it, but it was horrible as far as charging. So it's like, if I was to go somewhere, I couldn't really go too far because one, it took forever to charge. Two, the charging didn't last long. So it was just like, Of course, I've test drove and rented Teslas, but my thing with the Teslas were, for the price that they wanted for them when they first came out, I just felt like it wasn't giving me all the bells and whistles on the inside. It just had this huge iPad, and I just didn't feel like, oh, okay, I'm in a nice luxury electric vehicle on the inside. They look nice on the outside, but on the inside, they're very plain as far as detail. So I'm like, but they discharge fast. The thing that with electric vehicles that a lot of people don't take in consideration, if you're going to be driving it for a road trip or something, anything that you're using, AC, if you're charging your phone, listen to the radio, is going to drain from your batteries. When the salesperson pretty much put me onto that, I said, okay, maybe I don't want a full electric vehicle. Maybe a hybrid is better because I would want to take road trips and maybe 6 hour, 7 hour road trips, not going too far. But I didn't want to be stuck on the road. So I had to pretty much put all that into perspective in when I was buying my vehicle. I think nowadays, if you're not going to keep a vehicle for ever, basically, in the next 2-3 years, you're going to want something new, you should probably look at leasing a vehicle, and that you pay a little less monthly, but I believe you have to pay more when you're putting down. And then, of course, you have to be mindful of the mileage, right? But just before you purchase anything, literally weigh out all your options, the pros and cons of purchasing this. Is this a need versus a want? Is this going to be an investment that's going to bring me some money? Or is it something where it's, oh, this is going to bring me money later on? Like, what am I purchasing this for? What's, other than I just want to look nice and want to have something nice. But, or let's just say, you're a parent, but all your parents are grown now. So you're like, oh, now I can finally buy what it is I want because I don't have to be spending my money on my children. Get that Mercedes then. If you have a two-income household and everybody's carrying a weight, y'all not on subsidy housing and stuff or whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with subsidy housing, but I just feel like when you're on subsidy housing, any additional money that you have, you should be saving it so that you can get off subsidy housing. So you're not depending on the government. So you're not depending on the county or whatever to have a place to live, basically. But once you're off of that, then, buy whatever it is you want to buy, but buy it within, I feel like, moderation. Like, it's okay to have one or two things of this, but when you just have a whole closet full of name brand things or whatever, I just feel like it's a waste of money. And again, like, people that I know who actually have money that are really rich, they're not walking around in Gucci and Louis Vuitton. Or if they are, you can't tell it is. They don't have the ones where it has the monograms and stuff on it. They may have a nice belt on or something, but I bet you that belt that they have, they wear when they go to conferences. So it's a tax write-off. So that, think smart in the things that you're buying and you're purchasing. What am I going to use this for? Is this going to become like a staple piece of my uniform when I'm out and I'm conducting businesses or I'm speaking at engagements and so forth? Then it's okay, yeah, go ahead and buy that because now it becomes a tax write-off and you're going to have a return on your investment. Just think about those things when you're out there and you're purchasing stuff. And am I doing this because I just want to do it for myself, or am I doing this because I'm trying to appear as though I have it when I don't have it? That would be like my biggest thing that I would put out there to individuals. And the biggest takeaway from this, I would really say, is when you're gone and you're not here anymore, those clothes, those bags, those shoes that you have, they're gonna go to your family. They might wear, they might try to sell it and resell it. I'm not sell it, but resell it to get a few dollars off of it. That's the other thing. When you buy these things and you resell it, the value on it is probably gonna drop half, if not even more than half. There's this place called The Real Real. And I remember buying a secondhand. It was a Louis Vuitton wallet that I wanted to go with my bag, and I didn't want to buy a brand new Louis Vuitton wallet. So I went on The Real Real, and there were people, normally people who are rich and stuff, and they just like, oh, I'm just trying to get rid of stuff. So they'll basically have these co-signments with The Real Real sell their secondhand stuff for them. So that they feel like, okay, I'm cleaning out my closet. It might be because they're going to buy new stuff, or I don't need all this stuff anymore. So that's a good way. If you want to buy like a nice bag or something, you can get it off The Real Real, right? If you want a real authentic bag, wallet, shoes, or whatever, they have all of that on there. So yeah, I got my Louis Vuitton wallet off of there, and I think I paid, oh, another place is called Whatnot. So on Whatnot, you have individuals that will pretty much auction, I guess you can say. They do like an auction type beat. So I got some stuff off of there. I think it was another wallet that I got, and I think I paid like $100 or whatever for it, plus the fees and all that. And it's good. It looks good. It comes with the authenticity certificate. And that's a way of being able, if you want to have nice stuff, think of a different way that you can basically buy it. But don't go to Bloomingdale's and all these places, the Gucci store, just buying a bunch of stuff that you don't need that's not going to hold any value just to look good, to appear like you have it like that when you really don't. But my biggest takeaway from this, again, is to go back to those people that I know that are rich, because I know quite a few people who are very wealthy and they dress nice, right? They look nice, but they're not in Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and all that stuff. Like they in, I don't want to say basic stuff, but they're in just casual stuff, right? Because they know, why would I go buy all that stuff? Why would I put my money in all that stuff and it's not going to be worth anything? In their mind, they're thinking, again, is this going to bring me some money? What would be the reason for me to buy this or whatever, just to wear, and it's not a special occasion? Like, they think logically before purchasing unnecessary things. They keep more of their money in their pocket instead of trying to look like they have money. They just they look like they don't have no money. And them be the ones who really be having all the money. Think about that. So next time you go and you about to buy something, is it a need? Is it a want? Is this going to make me some money? Is this going to be worth something later on down the line? But when you answer those questions, if it's yeses and nos, if it's yes, buy it. No, don't buy it. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you know somebody who be out there just shopping and living above their means, send them this episode. Tell them they don't need to buy that. Tell them they need to take care of the things that are more important. And maybe just save up for that item. Again, do not be spending your entire paycheck to purchase something and then now you broke and you robbing Peter to pay Paul to pay for your cell phone bill or whatever it is that's important. Take care of the important stuff first, worry about the other stuff later, and just save up for it. Make a goal. Put $100 up every paycheck to buy whatever it is you need. Don't go and just empty out your whole bank account. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode or tuning in to another episode of Table for Us, pulling up a seat. If you would like to be a guest on our podcast episode, go ahead and read the caption below. There is a link where you can click and join the conversation. If you are interested in starting your own podcast, I have provided information below on different avenues where you can do that through Podbean. And if you would like to be featured in our Boss Talk Spotlight, there's also a link below where you can actually be featured if you are a business owner, because that is one of the biggest purposes of our podcast is to feature and spotlight small businesses that are out there. So again, thank you for pulling up a seat. I hope you guys have a blessed day and blessed week. Hi, so my name is Nicolette Royal or Nicole Johnson for legal purposes. Royal is my father's last name, but my mom gave me my dad's last name, but I use it now with my businesses, and I am the owner of Royal Legacy Services. Royal Legacy Services is a tax prep and tax advisory credit repair business. I started this business, I started doing taxes maybe about 20 years ago, and I treated it as a hobby. It was always a side gig for me. It wasn't until 2 years ago that I decided to go full in with my business when I got laid off. So I provide tax services for personal taxes. I provide tax services for small businesses. I provide tax advice. So with the tax advice, I typically try to give people tips and advice on what they need to do in the year before tax season. So different things and strategies that you can implement now will help you with tax savings, tax deductions, and credits and so forth when tax season comes around. I added credit repair about 3 years ago as a service to my tax business. And the reason being was because I had so many tax clients that I would hear when I would have a consultation with them. They would say, as soon as I get my money, I'm going to pay this off, or I'm going to do this so that I can fix my credit. So I felt like it was an opportunity to add credit repair services so that I could help them with their taxes and their credit. One of the things that really helped me in my business is I was my first client. So I started doing my own taxes myself. And then that turned into me doing taxes for family members and then friends. And pretty much everybody that I have currently literally is a referral. I might have a few people that found me on like Yelp or Facebook or something like that. But majority of my clients that I have, they were referred to me by somebody else. The same with credit repair. I actually went to an actual credit repair company before I was about to buy my house. And they got a couple of things off, but they didn't educate me on the importance of how to build my credit back up. They didn't educate me on the different consumer laws or anything of that sort. They just was like, pay me this money and we're going to do this. Well, pay this money to enroll. And I believe they had like a paper delete type of thing. So I decided to do credit repair differently. I probably overshare with my clients. I probably whelm them with things, but I want them to know everything that I know so that they can make sure that they don't get back into the same predicament that they're in when they come to me, right? So I make sure that they know about what makes up their credit score. I make sure that they know that in addition to me getting negative items removed, that they also need to now establish new credit. So I have a list of credit building accounts that I refer them to, and I walk them through the entire process. I also have an ebook that I typically tell new clients, potential clients, right? I tell them, hey, here's an ebook. If you want to work on your credit yourself, you can. And here's the steps on how to do that. So I'll share the link with my Stand store where you can actually purchase my ebook. You'll also have a link on how you can reach me. You will, what else am I going to share? So my number is 702-969-3605. That is my business number. That is how you can reach me, or you can go to Royal Legacy Services, so svcs.com, and you can go ahead and schedule a consultation with me, and I will look at everything that you have going on, whether it's your taxes. I do back taxes. I try to stay away from amendments. If I didn't file your taxes, I typically don't like redoing somebody else's stuff, but I can look at it and look it over and see if it's something that I can help you with. The tax advice, I typically, if you have a business, I love people who have small businesses because there is so much that you are able to claim as a deduction under your business. So those are all the things that I will walk you through and talk you through when you have a consultation with me. So Nicole Johnson or Nicole Royal with Royal Legacy Services.